Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and it feels good to be back inside KCD2. And we are going to be taking a look at a mod. So the mod author for this one, who goes by Javier66 Pazdan on Nexus, contacted me and said, hey, take a look at this mod. And I did, and it's a very cool mod, so that's why I'm making a video for it. So the mod is called, in the Lord's Name, Commandry of Crusaders of the Cross with Red Star, Pschitoky Castle. So, it's a bit of a cumbersome name, but it's definitely a cool mod. It's probably the most impressive mod that the game has gotten so far. It's hard for me to say because I don't have an official ranking, but it's the first one that I would say is somewhat close to like a DLC-sized player home mod, even though it's not exclusively a player home. So basically, if you remember what the game looked like before, and I'm not turning around just because I want to keep the reveal a surprise, but if you remember what the game looked like before, and in videos that I've made, like the one where I ranked all the castles, the manor house or castle in Pschitoky is under construction normally in the game, and so I ranked it very, very low. That being said, with these enhancements, the mod author has placed it above Samin in my ranking, so we'll see. I'll probably agree with that, considering it is, you know, a fortress. But, yeah, it's just a conversion mod for a castle that already existed in the game but really didn't play any part of the story. So now it's been turned into the Commandry for the Crusaders of the Cross with the Red Star. So I like two things about this. I like that it's been turned into a full, complete fortress, and I also like that it introduces more Crusader elements into the game. So you can see there are two halves to this mod. There's one that does the fortress, and then there's one that converts all of the guards in Pschitoky to looking like Crusaders of the Red Star. So I really like that. A, it helps get some of those rarer items, because now you can get them on all these guards, and B, it's cool to have them here. So this is what the castle looks like, and the mod page has some images that we'll go through later that show before and after, but I just wanted to start with a view from the outside. So you can see the front approach. We now no longer have a castle under construction. We've got our main keep tower building off to the side. We have a halfway decent gatehouse with some guards up top. There's a palisade wall with crenellations, and there are some sharpened stakes on some of the approach, helping, you know, to make it even more defensible against any sort of an exterior charge. So we'll just take a loop around the outside and I'll point things out as we see them. So like I said, the main tower is complete as it was before. The inner wall that was already complete is still there, unchanged. You can see the roof on that building is still not completed, so that's interesting. I wonder if that was done by choice or if that was an oversight. But we do have a complete palisade wall with sharpened stakes all the way around the outside. We've got another guard tower here. You can see that it's kind of overlapping over the wall instead of being behind the wall. That's not the best design, but I'm sure it's because of, you know, spatial limitations, but it does provide excellent sight and shooting lanes in multiple directions. The wall continues around. Again, it's the same style, but we still have, every so often, we get a crenellation that would allow the defenders on the inside to fire arrows outside. We have another tower over here, this one again overlapping over the wall, and if we follow up and around, you can see we come back to the front gate. So it's not like it's been expanded in size or anything, and it's still very, very reasonable for a fortified personal manor home, otherwise known as a castle. I have to keep pointing that out because so many people in my previous video were like, that's not a castle. It is literally what a castle is. Just because the Czechs had a different definition of castle that required royal consent doesn't mean that the word castle, which is an English word, or at least is a word in the English language with a definition, it doesn't change that just because a certain country has certain specifications for what would be called a castle. So, with that being said, let's go in through the front gate. Once you go in through the gate in the gatehouse, you're actually into the outer wall area here, so there's a second gate, so that's actually pretty good for a castle of this size. It forms sort of a makeshift gatehouse. It's not perfect, but it definitely gives you more lines of defense, and that's always a good thing. You can go up into the earthworks that go around the outer palisade, and you can see down very, very well from them. So this is actually pretty much perfectly designed in that regard. You can go up the watchtowers. So if we go over to this one here, we have access to the stairs and we can go up where you'll find two guards. So overall, just because of the weaknesses that I pointed out in my castle video, you can see that this one doesn't really have a whole lot of them. You can actually use the palisades. They're defendable enough. They give you plenty of cover while still allowing you to shoot out from them, and the towers give you excellent sight lines. So the whole outer wall has been repaired to the point where it's actually quite good. Once we go into the castle, the main structure hasn't really changed much. Most of it has been completed, but there's a couple really cool additions. So off to the right, there is a usable stable here, so there are some horses in here, and there's space for you to put your horse, if you so choose. If we go over here, there's the same covered seating area where you'll find the bailiff and other people, depending on where you are in the story. If we go over here, this is fun because this is something that up until now did not exist at all in the game. We have a chapel that you can enter and pray at. So we actually have church interior in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and it is very well decorated for a church of this size. There's seating space, you can actually pray at it. So you see we can kneel down right in front of the cross up in front between the two altars, and we can actually pray. So, very cool that the mod added something that definitely should have been in the game from the start, but we now have a church that we can enter, even if it's just a chapel. But it's very cool, and I'm happy about that. If we go into this rear building here, you will see the infirmary, which makes sense considering most of your crusading chivalric orders were actually hospitaller orders, so we've added a usable alchemy bench. I say we. He added a usable alchemy bench. Inside we'll find the hospital with a priest. Currently no people dead or dying on these beds, but you can sleep on them, so they're usable. Go down through this door. You'll find some more storage space with groceries and such. If we go up the ladder, we find a little bedroom area with some pretty nice weapons and 2 beds that can be used, but I assume belong to guards or, knights in this case. Then if we go towards the main tower, you can see they've added in a smithy, which we can use. So it is a usable smithy. The lower floor of the castle, as far as I know, hasn't really changed. I'm pretty sure this is all the same as it was before, but, pretty cool looking in general. However, on the upper floor, we actually find Henry's bedroom. So if we go through this door, these doors will remain locked for a portion of the day at least. In here you can see that we have the knight's banners replacing the vanilla ones from the base game, and we have another priest. We're going to go up the next flight of stairs as soon as this guy finishes coming down. And up here you find like the general barracks area. So I would assume one of these 2 bedrooms here is supposed to be Henry's bedroom, but considering that it doesn't say sleep and save and the chests are locked, I don't know if it's working super well. Maybe it's just scripted so nobody else will ever come in here so you can use it. What would be ideal is for one of these bedrooms to have a storage linked chest so you can link to your storage system, as well as a bed that allows you to sleep and save. But whatever the case is, I think it's a pretty cool mod that I would say is the closest one we've gotten so far to what most people would describe as a DLC-sized mod. So it adds in right in basically the center of the Kuttenberg area. Maybe not exact center, but it's pretty well situated. It's close to Kuttenberg and it's close to all the other major locations, and it would help you roleplay as having joined this knightly order. So that is pretty much all I wanted to talk about here in this, at least for the in-game portion of this. Now we can take a peek at the before and after stuff that are provided on the mod page. Keep in mind this mod is available both on the Nexus and in the Steam Workshop. In the Steam Workshop, it is in 2 pieces, so you have to download one part that does the castle renovation thing, and then the other one will convert all of the guards. Whereas over on the Nexus, it's all just one mod. So here on the mod page, like I said, you can see it is uploaded by Javier66 Pozden. Pretty simple mod to install if you use it here. There is this, which I wanted to read. It says a deed of transfer of estate and fortress in Pschitoky. I assume it's probably pronounced the same, but I don't speak Czech. It says, drawn up in the year of our Lord 1403 on the feast of St. Wenceslaus in Kutna. I, Vaclav Bartos, a loyal and faithful servant of the crown of Bohemia, rightful owner of the estate and fortress in Pschitoky, acting of my own free will and in the spirit of Christian charity and care for the common good, do hereby grant full rights of use, governance, and protection of the said fortress and its adjoining lands into the brethren of the Order of the Knights of the Cross with the Red Star, or the Ordo Militaris Crusaderorum cum Rubia Stella, subject to the authority of their priory in Prague. Terms of the agreement. The purpose of the transfer. This state is conferred for the strengthening of the Order's presence in the region surrounding Kutna to ensure pastoral care, provide refuge for pilgrims, and upheld order and, I think that says, durance of the local populace. I don't know what that word means. Scope of rights. The monastic brethren are granted the right to manage the fortress, including its repair, expansion, and staffing, post guards, and administer justice in minor matters within the boundaries of the village of Pschitoky. Obligations of the order. The brethren pledge to maintain the chapel and offer prayers for the salvation of my soul and those of my ancestors and descendants. The order is to defend the estate against robbers, heretics, and enemies of the crown, given under my seal in the year of our Lord 1403 at Kutna Vaclav Bartos. So that's actually a really cool bit of lore, I guess, to explain the mod, because this is a super normal thing. This was exactly how orders like the Templars or the Hospitallers or the Teutons initially got all of their stuff. People would sign over properties or estates or percentages of their estates in exchange for prayers and other church privileges. So it was this is a cool bit of lore to explain that here. So it says, what the mod does. Pschitoky Castle has been transformed into the Commandery of the Crusaders of the Cross with the Red Star. New palisade and sharpened stakes surrounding the castle, along with a new wooden gate, 2 new watchtowers, new reinforced doors for the inner courtyard, completed and functional stable, new functional and fully equipped chapel where you can pray, the first of its kind in the game, a new blacksmith's forge, an empty building converted into an order hospital, also added an alchemist's bench, new custom Crusader flags placed on rooftops, banners, and inside the castle room. The restricted area inside the castle has been removed. The armory is still in a forbidden area. A bed for Henry has been added in the upper part of the castle. Castle doors are locked only between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. NPCs, guards wear equipment of the Crusaders of the Cross. 2 priests have been added. 1 prays in the chapel during the day, and 1 walks around the castle. He does not use the chapel doors. Instead, he phases through the wall when you're not looking. However, he correctly uses the castle doors. The second priest is located in the monastic hospital. Unfortunately, due to a bugged area inside the building, NPCs do not function correctly here, so the second priest simply stands in place. A new blacksmith who uses the forge and walks around the castle. New guards positioned on the watchtowers, at the wooden gate, and along the palisade. 1 guard patrols along the southern palisade. Another additionally patrols the inner courtyard. 2 new horses in the stable. And then it has information, just in case you missed it and you want to obtain the Crusader's tabard and shield. They can be acquired during the blacksmith questline in Trotsky. Occasionally, you may encounter a wandering monk who sells tabards. In Pschitoky Castle, you can steal one from a sleeping guard. Crusader shields can also be stolen from the castle armory, but be careful, it's a restricted area. Alternatively, you can use console commands to obtain them. So, all of that being said, it is a pretty solid conversion mod for a location that wasn't being utilized and now is, and also for a faction introduced in the game, and they were, are real in real life, but that didn't get a whole lot of play after the first region, but now they do, so I like it. So if we go through the images, this is just the cover image, we can see some before and after. So the before on the castle here is, like I said, it was under construction. The main tower was complete. They had a lot of the stone wall, but the buildings on the inside were complete and the wall around the outside was not done. So fairly unfinished. Afterwards, however, we do have a pretty well completed small castle. So this is just another angle. This is the back side. So you can see before there was a partial palisade on the back, but nothing totally surrounding it. Now we have the palisade all the way around. Interior here, you can see this is the building right by the front gate, which became the stable. So now it's actually completed, and actually they changed the entire look of it. So this was a wooden building, now it's a stone building with arches, so it looks significantly cooler now. Before and after on the front gate, or at least the gate to the side. So we have the front gate here, which you can see before was just an open doorway. Now it's reinforced, so looks a lot more sturdy. Over on the other side, before this was just an empty space, now it's a blacksmith. Here's our before and after with our chapel. So before we had that little covered area that is now moved over to the side, now it is being taken up by a usable chapel. And before we had guards with the Kuttenberg crest on them, which was not very immersive, and now we of course have our Crusaders. Here's the before and after on the interior of the small building that became the hospital and the interior of the castle. Like I said before, they had just a generic black and white coat of arms for these flags. Now it's the Crusaders. You can still see the shield back here is the same. But yeah, that is the mod. So there'll be links in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed taking a look at it, and I intend to keep it in the game because it's definitely a cool change in my opinion. But that's all for today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.